After Moses led the Israelites through their 40-year journey, YHWH appointed Joshua to lead them into Canaan. At this monumental moment in time, YHWH gave his chosen leader a powerful speech of encouragement and made some bold promises to him. What did he say? He would provide unfailing strength for success on any battlefield. He would clear away obstacles with miraculous signs. He will prepare enemy forces to submit before him without costing energy or resources, all as part of his divinely guided mission. The book of Joshua opens with this great speech by which YHWH establishes Joshua as a warlord and gives him the following promises. Joshua 1. And it was after the death of Moshe, the servant of YHWH, that YHWH said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moshe's minister, his attendant, saying, Moshe, my servant, has died, and now arise, cross this Jordan, you and all this nation, to the land which I gave the children of Israel. Every place on which the soles of your feet would tread, I will give to you, as I have spoken to Moshe. From this desert and Lebanon to the great river, the Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea westward shall be your boundary. No man shall stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so shall I be with you. I will not weaken my grasp on you, nor will I abandon you. Be strong and have courage, for you will cause this nation to inherit the land that I have sworn to their ancestors to give to them. So we have here a mixture of exaltation and assurance. Now, I'm saying that this is theological. It's not historical. Where are they getting it from? Can I go to the ancient Near East, especially the Assyrians, who they're getting most of their ideas from, and see something similar? The deity encouraging a warlord that they're going to do what this deity here is telling Joshua easily. Now, through the oracle given to Assyrian, this unique blend of encouragement and assurance is clearly made evident. We're going to read it and we'll see a fascinating display that demonstrates how these two ideas in the book of Joshua 1 and the oracles of encouragement of Assyrian are intertwined. Oracles of encouragement to Assyrian. If you guys want a link to, let me post this here. Let me pause this, post the link in the, let me post the link right now before I forget. I'll put it in the chat. And then somebody can maybe put it in the WhatsApp group, those who are not there. So what I'm going to be reading, this is where I'm getting it from. The oracles of encouragement to Assyrian. Instead of you buying the book that I have, you can actually use this resource. So this is where I'm going to be getting it from. You click on this, and then I'm going to be reading from the right. But I have it here in my, have it here on the screen for you to see. So I hope you can still see my screen, please. Let's read it. Assyrian, king of the lands, fear not. What wind has risen against you, whose wing I have not broken? Your enemies will roll before your feet like ripe apples. I am the great lady. I am Esther of Arbela, who cast your enemies before your feet. What words have I spoken to you that you could not rely upon? I am Esther of Arbela. I will flay your enemies and give them to you. I am Esther of Arbela. I will go before you and behind you. Fear not. You are paralyzed, but in the midst of war I will rise and sit down beside you. By the mouth of Issa of Arbela, king of Assyria, have no fear. I will deliver up the enemy of the king of Assyria for slaughter. I will keep you safe and make you great in your palace of succession. Fear not, Assyrian, I am Baal. Even as I speak to you, I watch over the beams of your heart. When your mother gave birth to you, 60 great gods stood with me and protected you. Sin was at your right side, Shamash at your left. 60 great gods were standing around you and girded your loins. Do not trust in man. Lift up your eyes. Look to me. I am Esther of Arabella. I reconciled Ashur with you. When you were small, I took you to me. Do not fear. Praise me. Any comments on the oracles of encouragement to Assyrian?
Sounds very familiar.
It sounds very familiar. Mr. Mark says sounds pretty much like the Bible. And this is what Mr. Jason has said most of the time when he talks about these deities, these territories, these nations. What we read in the biblical text is not unique. Most of the time, it's coming from their neighbors. Just as he's being encouraged, Joshua, as a Handan is being encouraged. You would think that it's only YHWH who speaks like this, but no, all the other deities spoke like this. So, Assyrian conquest narratives, like this, what we read, often based on a stereotype model, meaning that this was a model that the ancient Near East used. This provided foundational inspiration for the Deuteronomistic authors seeking to develop an ideology centered around the war of Yahweh. When the Assyrians wrote this, they are writing this because historically they are going to war. Historically, they are conquering. Historically, they are fighting. So they are not making things up, even though they may spice things a little, make it theological a little. That is understandable. But they are telling you historical accounts. Unlike the book of Joshua, where it's not telling you historical account, it's borrowing from these ancient Near Eastern conquest narratives and is using that to develop this ideology centered around the war of YHWH. Now, I'm not saying that YHWH is not violent, he's not powerful, he's a storm god. Of course he is. But the stories told in Joshua is not something that YHWH actually did. It's more of a theological, political narrative. So again, Assyrian conquest narratives, often based on a stereotyped model, provided foundational inspiration for the Deuteronomistic authors seeking to develop an ideology centered around the war of YHWH. Such ideas shaped Israelite understandings and interpretations of wars during that era. So their whole understanding and interpretation of war was based on the Assyrian conquest model. When you read the book of Joshua, chapters 10, Judges 4, Deuteronomy 20, they all use this model. And even in Numbers 21, we are told about the wars of YHWH. Concerning this, it is told in the account of the wars of YHWH. Really. So this verse makes reference to a book with this very title. Awesome. Now we would call this Holy War. That is what we would title it. Holy War. When we say holy war, how do you understand it? What makes a war holy?
The
Uh,
reasons for starting the war and your the reasons why you initiate war would be based on some kind of religious explanation, and the goal of the war will also be based on some sort of religious explanation as well.
Correct.
And you would say that the deity told me to do this. It was instructed by your deity for you to do this.
Okay, so in your submission, it means that who does the fighting? The people, the fight is done on behalf of the deity, correct? As Mr. Shansi is saying.
Yeah, that's my perception on it as well.
Yes, on behalf of the deity. So we go to war on behalf of the deity, meaning
But
that who's
yeah,
doing the fight?
what I was saying on behalf of the deity, you're physically doing the fighting, but you have the backing or the confirmation from the deity to go ahead and do it. So you're going in the strength of the deity, for a better word or a different way of putting it.
Beautiful. This is how we all understand holy war, just as Mr. David has explained and Mr. Shanti has also commented in the chat. But it's actually not the ancient Near Eastern understanding of holy wars. In Assyrian and Old Testament texts, holy war was characterized by a unique ideology. Rather than what Mr. David explained, people fighting on behalf of their deity, it's actually the deity himself who fights for his own. With this, my statement, I want you to take Joshua chapters 10 after the class, read it, and you will see this concept clearly portrayed. Most of the time, when we're reading it, we have the idea of people going to war on behalf of their deity, so we read that into the text. But it is actually the other way around. It's the deity himself who fights for his own. Okay, awesome. Now, so this is what we get. When you read Joshua 10, this is what you get. An enemy is poised to attack Israel. eliciting discouragement, fear, and entreaties to YHWH. YHWH exhorts the Israelites not to fear but to trust him instead. He then leads them into battle, miraculously ensuring their victory over their enemies. The enemy forces are discouraged or defeated entirely, culminating in a total victory for the Israelites. This overwhelming success can be credited solely to YHWH's miraculous intervention and protection against an immense coalition of oppressors or foes. This is what we see in Joshua 10. Let me read it.